I, 36 male, have been married to Anne, 35 female, for 8 years. We have a daughter together. She's 4, and for the sake of this, her name will be Clarissa. She's a sweet girl, and I love her with all of my soul. My marriage is about to fall apart, but in all of this, I can only say that I'm extremely happy that my union with Anne brought me Clarissa. If not for her, I would have said that it was a waste of 8 years and the time that we spent dating each other before that. I met Anne in a bookshop in our city. That was back when I used to read a lot. That doesn't happen as much, and I'm trying to get back into it, but back then, I used to read quite a bit. She asked for my opinion on the author of the book that I was considering buying, and that was where we struck up a conversation. It was a warming conversation, and I knew that she could be someone special in my life. That was such a long time ago at this point, but it turned into something very fruitful, and here we are. The funniest part of this whole thing is that I really don't think that there was any reason for her to be unhappy in our marriage. It wasn't perfect. No marriage is perfect, even when you're a billionaire. But it was happy. We were good to each other, and we were good parents. I have tried my best to examine all my behavior and find a reason why she would choose to cheat on me, but nothing I've come up with makes any sense. I would prefer to believe that she did it for a reason, and not just that I did everything right, and she still decided to come and ruin my life. It hurts to know that someone can just come along and ruin things. The reason why I know that she's betrayed me is because of Clarissa. A simple comment that she made ended up taking me down a long path. It ended up with me confirming that Anne really had been cheating on me. I feel stupid for not having any idea. It hurts to know that it was going on under my nose for who knows how long. I was still kissing this woman. I was still sleeping with her. Meanwhile, she was going out there to let another man sleep with her. It's hard to express the extent to which that upsets me. I'm usually not the one who picks up Clarissa from school. It works better with Anne's schedule, but it doesn't work well with my workplace. So I only do it on rare occasions when I can actually make it work. This was one of those occasions, and it probably came about 5 or 6 weeks after the last time I did. I was happy to pick up my daughter, and she was super happy to see me. We chatted about her day at school, and I told her some basic things about my day at work. I even stopped so that we could get some ice cream. What I didn't expect was her happily licking the ice cream in the back of the car to tell me, "I really like it when you come and pick me up. Mommy and Mommy's friend don't bring me here." I was confused, and I asked whose Mommy's friend was, thinking that it was going to be a colleague or a girlfriend of hers. But she said it was a man. She said he had a big beard, and sometimes he drove the car instead of Anne. I was very confused by that. She never mentioned that anyone ever came to pick up Clarissa with her. So I instantly knew that it was something I wasn't meant to know about, and I didn't like the way that made me feel. I didn't say much from there until we got home because I was trying to reason and see whether there was any other explanation that would make sense. I couldn't find it. I tried to get Clarissa to tell me more about the guy, but besides the beard, I couldn't get much out of her. She couldn't accurately tell me the color of the guy's hair or what his name might be. She didn't know that he was taller than Anne was, though she's not particularly tall, so it wasn't as if that was immensely helpful. I thought about confronting Anne in case there might have been a perfectly reasonable explanation for the entire situation, but I had a feeling that if there were, she would have mentioned it before, at least in passing. At this point, I didn't even know how long this guy in question had been tagging along to pick up Clarissa from school. I had thought of some of new questions, so I tried to ask Clarissa how long he had been coming around, but she's 4. She doesn't have a fantastic grasp of the concept of time, so I knew that I wasn't going to get a great answer from her on that matter. She was able to tell me that the guy didn't come around with her mom all the time, only sometimes. That was something. If it was all the time, it would have been easier for me to assume that it was a colleague who was basically just carpooling with her after work. I knew that the only way that I was going to have any chance to figure out what was going on would be if I could get my hands on her phone or if I could hire a PI. I knew that using her phone was going to be really easy, but I felt like I wouldn't be able to get the full story if I did that. I would just be able to confirm that she was cheating on me with someone. Yes, that part is important, but nothing would stop me from doing that later on. I wanted to know who the person was. I wanted to have actual professional evidence that the person existed. The phone would stick around when I was ready. So I searched on Google and found a highly rated PI in our city, and I decided to call him and then pay him a visit. I talked about the situation and everything that I knew. He said that it wasn't uncommon for unfaithful women to have their affair partners around their children, but he said he didn't hear of them doing school pickups together very often. He said it was possible that there was something else to it, but he said he'd do the surveillance as I pleased. It wasn't going to cost that much because he only had to monitor her during the tiny window when she'd be at the school. Only if she was with someone else would he follow her wherever she was going. That was fine by me, so I paid the guy and I waited to hear back from him. During the time that I was waiting, I made sure to observe Anne as well as I could, but I really couldn't see any difference in her behavior. It was possible that she wasn't even cheating on me, but if she was doing a great job not letting it remotely affect her demeanor. That's not how someone who has any regret moves. As much as I love Anne, she's not the kind of perfect angel who I'd refuse to believe has this ability to cheat on me. She's a woman, and from my experiences with women, they all have the capacity to cheat on you. You just need to choose the one with the lowest risk and make sure you do your best as a partner so that they don't feel the need to leave. That's what I thought that I had. But look at how it goes at the end of the day. Anyway, eventually the PI reached back out to me and told me that he had pictures for me. My heart sank when I heard that because it proved that Clarissa wasn't mistaken. If the PI had photos for me, it meant that there truly was a man following along on school pickups. I made it to his office as quickly as possible, and that was when he handed the photos over to me. He didn't say anything until I had taken a look at them. Just like my daughter had said, the other man was a tall guy, slightly big, with a giant brown beard. I didn't like the profile, but he didn't exactly look like the most upstanding member of society. It looked to me like he had been in some kind of gang in the past, or maybe even prison. Again, that was me judging entirely off appearances. He clearly wasn't someone who was working in the same workplace as her because they would never let someone who looks like that into the place. He also wasn't a relative that I knew. If he was, she would have just told me about him. The fact that they had done a pickup together in the last few days and I heard nothing from her was proof that I wasn't meant to know about him. The PI gave me another set of pictures, which were taken in front of our house. They parked in the driveway and all of them got out of the car together. They went into the house. Most of my work days end late, so they had a little under 2 hours after that point. After a little over an hour, the two of them came out. They got in the car and drove off. She was back in 5 minutes, but the part that appalled me was that she had left Clarissa at home during that time, likely to drop her affair partner off at a bus station or something. That genuinely enraged me. She wasn't only exposing my daughter to some random guy, but she was also leaving her home alone, which was two different forms of danger. I was so mad. I felt like nothing was going to stop me from charging into the house and confronting her right away. But the PI, who I assume has had a lot of experience with angry spouses like myself, told me to calm down. He said he understood how satisfying it would be for me to just confront her right away, but it was more important for me to set it up properly. He said I should reach out to a divorce lawyer, get the papers ready, and then confront her. He was actually able to get me to calm down. He sent me a recommendation for a divorce lawyer, which I really appreciated. I paid him his balance, and then I went home. I put on my best act of behaving as if everything was fine between the two of us when I got home. She didn't notice anything was wrong with me, so I must have done well enough in that regard. The next day, I went to speak with the divorce lawyer, and I got everything set into motion with him. I remember really hesitating before I finalized things with the lawyer. I wondered whether it would just be better for me to confront Anne and scare her into never cheating again. That way we'd be able to move on, and the family would stay together. I felt stupid thinking that way. I knew that I was never going to let that be eventually. It felt weak, like I was letting a woman take advantage of me because I love her. That's exactly what will encourage her to cheat the next time. I knew there simply wasn't any way to make it work, so I went ahead with the lawyer. The papers are ready, and I'll be able to have her served as soon as I'm ready. I just want to make sure that Clarissa is out of the way on the day that will happen, because it is bound to get messy. I'm going to choose a Friday night or a Saturday so I can have her tucked away at one of her grandparents'. Update. This is going to be a rather hefty update. The important thing is that I'm divorced from Anne. It had to happen. I won't lie, it hurts a lot. I never thought that life was going to come at me so fast, but the one thing that I acknowledge is that our marriage falling apart wasn't my fault. I was faithful. I did what I was meant to do. She was the one who decided to step outside the confines of the marriage to sleep with some random guy. And by the way, that guy has a criminal record. It is from 6 years ago, but it was a violent crime. That's the person she was bringing near my daughter. That finding the PI just helped fuel my desire to end the marriage. I had her served with the papers at home on a Friday night. Clarissa wasn't there. Anne answered the door, received the envelope, and came to me, slightly confused, as she was prying it open. She was commenting on how the person who gave the papers didn't answer her questions. I kept quiet, and she went quiet when she pulled the papers out and read them. She looked at me with her mouth wide open. "What's this about?" I told her to think about all the things she had been up to, and whether she had done anything that was worthy of a divorce. She acted like she was thinking, and then claimed that she hadn't done anything divorce-worthy. I shook my head and told her that it was the fact that she couldn't even tell me the truth that had led to us getting divorced. She was not the kind of person I could trust any longer, so what was the point of me sticking together with her? "What did I do? Tell me what I did." She was playing dumb and doing a good job, so I just mentioned the name of her affair partner. She froze. I'm sure she wanted to deny it, but she had no idea how I knew about him. That meant she didn't know which angle to use to deny. Maybe I had cameras in the house, and I saw the full extent of their relationship. So she chose to tell me that it wasn't what it looked like, and that just made me laugh and shake my head. I told her that it was exactly what it looked like. She was cheating on me with the guy, taking him to pick up our daughter and letting him into our house when I wasn't there. I told her that I knew the full extent of what they had been up to, and I pointed out that her new lover had a violent crime on his record. She looked like she was finding that out for the first time, which I only found to be amusing. She didn't object or tell me it wasn't true because she didn't know that for a fact. Very calmly, I told her that there wasn't a future for the two of us. We had tried to do life together, and we had been doing a great job of it, but she couldn't keep her hands off another man. I told her not to beg, which thankfully she didn't do, at least not right then. I told her she could stay in the guest room until there was a judgment in the divorce regarding who would keep the house. She didn't make a sound, but tears were rolling down her face. She was holding back her sobs. It looked pathetic. It was the next afternoon before I went to pick up Clarissa that she looked at me and said, "Please, I can't be alone. I can't live without you." I acted like I didn't hear her, and I left the house and brought Clarissa back several minutes later. I realized when Clarissa ran over to hug her happily that I couldn't completely rob her of the chance to have a mother, but I was going to fight for as much custody as I could get. When the divorce came, I did exactly that. I presented all the evidence that I had. The fact that her affair partner was a man with violent crimes on his record. That same man has been present for several school pickups. He had entered my house and been around my daughter without my knowledge. And he also had been the reason why Ann had Clarissa in the house alone, which my lawyer argued had probably happened on more than one occasion. We had very strong evidence of neglectful parenting from Ann. As a married woman and mother, there was a lot more expected of her, and she wasn't delivering in that regard. I'll tell you that the moment the judge awarded me the house and 70% custody, I couldn't help but smile. I tried not to be an a-hole about it, but I was glad that I had something that I could rub in her face that way. She can try and get custody restructured when she's ready not to put my child in the midst of criminals. But for now, she's basically the secondary parent, and that makes me happy. Clarissa loves me, so I know that's not going to be an issue being the primary parent. That wasn't everything. I wanted to make sure that she had to deal with the shame of her stupid decisions. I did think that it might have been a bad decision because I was going to be forced to co-parent with her, but I didn't care enough in that moment to think of the future. I wanted to hurt her in the way that she hurt me. The custody wasn't enough punishment. So I wrote an email, scanned and included the pictures of her with her winning affair partner, and I typed out a message to let everyone know exactly what they were looking at. I sent it to her family members and all of her friends. As long as they knew her and I had their email address, I sent it. Thankfully, we sent out gift cards to a lot of people one year, so I had a bunch of emails to spam. I got a lot of concerned replies asking if I was okay after that, and I enjoyed the attention, for a bit. I made sure to paint myself as the victim who got hurt despite all of this overwhelming kindness and love towards his cheating wife, and it seemed to tug on the right heartstrings. I know that people gave Anne hell because she sent me a message with every curse word in the book. I've never seen her that mad. She tried to call me, but I knew it would frustrate her more if I didn't answer, so I didn't. She sent another message telling me that she hated me and wished I would die because I had left her humiliated over a mistake that she made. She said I didn't give her the chance to talk it over and had just, instead, destroyed her life. I didn't answer, but if I had, I would put a shrug emoji. Anne hates embarrassing situations, plus she's now alone, which is another thing she hates to be. She always has her affair partner, so she doesn't need to be alone if she really doesn't want to be. I'm just glad that I have the upper hand in custody, and everyone knows the kind of person she is. They posted a picture of a family event, and she wasn't there. I want to believe that she wasn't even invited because that's the happier scenario. Maybe she was invited, but too depressed to go. That makes me happy too. As long as she's in pain and full of regret, then I'm fine. At the end of the day, you can't control what a cheating partner does, but you can do your best to make sure they never repeat the feat with anyone else ever again. The absolute audacity of bringing an affair partner around your 4-year-old is already wild. But then leaving the kid home alone so you can go drop him off? What? That's reckless, selfish, tunnel vision behavior from someone who cared more about sneaking around than about basic common sense. And yeah, the whole "it was a mistake" angle? Mistakes are burning toast. Mistakes are forgetting an anniversary. Mistakes are not repeatedly inviting a whole extra man into your family. So yeah, your reaction wasn't just wounded pride. It was you realizing someone else's selfish thrill-seeking was bleeding into your kid's sense of safety. Do you have a similar story? Share it with us below. And thank you for joining us today on Our Space. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.